Price, 123,000, highest price, 492,000, and the highest active in Grace Lake at 1.5 million. Now heading over to Gurnee, where there's, they actually have the lowest inventory right now. Only 8 houses on the market. And Gurnee's a pretty big area. So that's a real low number for Gurnee. No new listings this week in Gurnee. That's surprising. That they're putting up Volo numbers there. And but they had 6 new listings last week, so obviously 100% drop in new listing activity. This week under contract is 5 compared to last week only 3, and the past 30 days they had 20 under contract, and that was compared to 19 the prior. So trekking was last month, and slight uptick, actually a significant uptick from last year when they had only 14. Now headed over to Lindenhurst and Lake. Days on market for Gurnee, 40 days. So getting a little bit slower, which is interesting. Days on market 40. They were such a low inventory. That's actually kind of surprising. I would actually check my numbers there, make sure my math's correct. But a half a month supply of inventory, obviously with only 8 on the market. Lowest price was $155,000 with the highest price of $525,000 and a highest active price of $635,000. Now over to Lindenhurst and Lake Villa, where we had 14 active listings, 2 new this week compared to 6 last week, 8 under contract this week compared to 5 last week, 26 under contract this month compared to 20 last month, and then 18 the month before. So those numbers are rock solid. They're very consistent, obviously, in their real estate community. And then days on market. Get this, only 15 days average market time. That's because we listed the most of them. And the month supply of inventory hovering at only a half a month. That means if we had no new listings, we'll be sold out in Lakeville and Lindenhurst in half a month. Lowest price, $68,000. Highest price, $423,000. And the highest active at $1.2 million. I wish we had that listing. The Round Lake area, 15 active currently on the market, 6 new listings this week, same as last week, which was 6. This week under contract, there was 9, slight uptick from 7 the prior week, 27 under contract in the past 30 days compared to last month at 23, and compared to last year, slight down from 32. Days on market's only 24 days, and a month supply of inventory of 0.6. Pricing range from $85,000 to $425,000. And that's it for the market min. I went a little bit over. I know we started a little bit late, and I went a little bit over, but that's okay because the next segment we're going to talk about is the 9/11 consolidation. So here's a community interest thing I do want to talk about because it does have to do with one of the things we talk about a lot on the show, which is property taxes. Mm-hmm. You familiar with the 9/11 consolidation, Sly?
I am not.
Okay. Kristen?
Yes.
Yes, of course. We talked about it. For those of you who don't know, prior to now, actually, it hasn't gone into effect yet, all of the local communities, they have a varying hodgepodge of 9/11 dispatch centers, where when you pick up the phone and you call 911, where does that go? The Round Lake has one. I think Fox Lake has one. The sheriff has one. There's a few different silos where they dispatch, they receive these calls and dispatch the police. So due to a law that went into effect last year, those 9/11 dispatch centers have to consolidate. And so the county approved the building of a new dispatch center and consolidating all of the local 9/11s into the one dispatch center. And the idea behind it was to, right now, if you call, let's say we're here, and you pick up the phone, you call 911 from your cell phone, and you get your 911 dispatcher, and she doesn't know exactly where you are because they triangulate you, they figure out approximately where you are. But maybe you're driving down the road and you say, well, I'm driving across Rollins and Cedar Lake. She goes, oh, well, that's not our area. So she'll transfer you to the, right? So she'll transfer you to the dispatch center that handles that particular area.
I'm just imagining being the person calling in the middle of an emergency.
Yeah.
And then being told, let me transfer you real quick.
That literally just happened to me a month ago where I saw a car accident on the highway and I called 911 and they had to I literally watched a truck flip over, hit a patch of dry ice, and flip over. And I called 911, and they passed me around a few times before they got the right location.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Firsthand knowledge of that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it was
every
scary.
second counts in those situations.
Sure,
You're not calling for fun.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you're having a heart attack. Please hold.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Seriously.
So, I mean,
So the intentions are good.
the intentions are 100% good. In fact, it's the right thing to do. It's going to speed up response times. Now, some of the localities might lose some of that local knowledge. So, I know if I were to call 911 from here right now, I know most of the people in the 911 dispatch center.
Oh, wow, okay.
They're a great bunch. And they a lot of them, well, some of them maybe know me. And if I say at Sammy's in Round Lake Beach, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If I say at the Civic Center, they know what I'm talking about. So they don't have to figure that part out. So that's what you get from local representation. And then if you were to go to one central county, there's no way those dispatchers are going to be able to know all those little minutia details about all the surrounding communities.
Sure. And they can't be expected to.
Nor could they be expected to. No, absolutely. I know I wouldn't.
Oh,
I don't even know where all the locations in our area are. So anyway, they've last July they broke ground on building this building, which is going to house all of the different dispatchers, and it's also going to include some safety precautions. Like the building has to be built to a certain specification, so it can't be blown up by a bomb or something.
Sure.
Now, I think the cost was about $39 million.
Ooh.
And the county board approved this quite a while ago. The sheriff's been working on it, and there's a lot of different stakeholders working together to bring this all together. But just a couple months ago, the Lake County Sheriff backed out.
Oh.
He said, I don't want to participate in the county's consolidation. And when he sent out a letter that I received last week explaining to the board why he's backing out, and it's not good. And I don't blame him. He, according to the sheriff, he's been telling them for a while, is telling the county board for a while, that the plan that they're going forward with doesn't solve all his problems. And it makes it almost impossible for them to work with. And he's not the only one. The city of Waukegan also backed out about a month ago from the consolidation plan. And when you're spending $39 million, how do you not effectively communicate with probably the largest law enforcement entity in the county, the sheriffs?
Yeah.
They're responsible for law enforcement all over Lake County, and I got to imagine they probably responsible for the dispatching of a majority of the calls. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I think the sheriff probably is solely responsible for the dispatch of the most amount of emergency calls. And that's for everywhere from, criminal issues to emergency issues to fire issues, right?
Well, and they cover a lot of the unincorporated calls that come in as well, correct?
Yeah. So, the sheriff is specifically 100% the unincorporated areas, but they also do services for a lot of villages where they're hired to. There's a intergovernmental agreement for them to come in and do support for. But $39 million, and the sheriff's complaint is that they've not listened to anything that he has to provide for what they need for this to be effective. Here's a specific quote from, I'm not going to mention names. There was a name mentioned in the letter, but, if anyone wants to know who he's specifically calling out, and I'll tell you why I'm not going to mention the name after I'm done. Mr. Blank had the duty and obligation to keep you informed. This is his letter to the county board. Had the duty and obligation to keep you informed. His role has been to keep you in the loop on the actual facts, and this includes potential hurdles or challenges this project is facing. The mistake I made throughout this process was trusting him to relay accurate information about the ongoing concerns of the sheriff's office to the entire Lake County Board. Clearly, our concerns have not been expressed to this board, Eidelberg said to the county board members in his letter. So I'm going to tell you why I'm not dropping that name. As you guys both know, I've got a little bit of history in politics and in government, having sat on that board. And I know codes. And the codes when you want to call out another elected official, but maybe they're in the same party, so you don't want them to really look that bad. So you blame it on staff. So when he says, clearly he hasn't relayed this to you, I happen to know the person he's talking about, and I know how professional that person is. This guy is military background, super organized, super professional. This guy knows his stuff, and I would find it incredibly hard to believe that he did not relay specific information. I'm more apt to believe that the recipients of the information didn't like the information and chose to ignore that information. But we'll see. This is still playing out, but there's a lot of money on the line. So it's something that when we talk about $39 million, there's a lot that could be done in the county. The county's budget is only about $600 million. So that's, what's that, 5% of the whole budget? So anyway, so I wanted to bring that to the reader's attention that right now there's a question about consolidated 911, and I don't know if that's going to slow it down or not.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, whatever ends up happening from that, I hope that the end result is to better serve our community and to make sure that they are addressed as quickly as possible, right? Because every second counts. But also to alleviate some of the stress from the 911 dispatchers in the first place, right? Because if they're taking a crazy amount of calls because one person called in and they are working in a small operation, I mean, that's taking their already stressful day and magnifying it, right? Because, you know, as real estate agents, like we deal with sensitive topics, right? So we talk to people who are dealing with death. We deal with people who are selling their houses because they are getting divorced. But we also get to talk to people who are having happy changes in their lives, right? So there's a bit of a balance there. And while we are there to be sort of a bucket for our clients to pour their emotions into, a lot of them are good. But the 911 dispatchers, I mean, every single day they're talking to people on is what likely to be the worst day of their lives, right? You're calling 911 because you are in an emergency. And the amount of added stress that adds to each and every phone call, especially when you're taking in way too many calls, I can only imagine how hard that must be for them. So hopefully they find a solution that works out for everybody.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to take it to a break.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Welcome back, Lake County. We're here for the second half hour of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. In the studio today, I've got Kristen Kaufman and Sly Marinca.
Hello.
And that's how I test the mics. It's not your mic, Kristen. I didn't have it on.
Hello.
There we go. Now everyone can hear you. Okay, so we have a new segment we're going to do. This is every week we're going to do some Mythbusters real estate style. So, Kristen, I'm going to say a myth, and you tell me if it's busted or plausible.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
Myth number one. And I just want to make sure all of our levels are good. Yeah. Okay. Myth number one. Open houses are the best way to sell a house.
Wouldn't that be nice? Imagine all you had to do was just host an open house. Bing, bam, boom, you're done.
Come on, haven't you ever seen HGTV?
I love hosting open houses, actually. They're a lot of fun. It's a great way to just meet people and get a chance to showcase the house that you're listing. But it's actually not going to be the number one way to get your home sold for the best possible price. Open houses can definitely increase exposure, but the majority of home sales are going to come from targeted marketing strategies.